Former Mississippi House candidate charged after satanic temple display is destroyed at Iowa Capitol. So this is in the Capitol, Des Moines, Iowa. The gentleman's name, Michael Cassidy. He's 35 years old. He's from Mississippi, was charged with fourth-degree criminal mischief. The Iowa Department of Public Safety said Friday he was released after the arrest. What's interesting is he is an Navy SEAL. So he has or Marine. Sorry, one of the two. Navy fighter pilot. Man, I really dropped the ball on that.
Wow.
That being said, he's walking through his state house, and they got a giant satanic Baphomet setup, and it's got the goat doing the hand signals, the whole 9 yards. Talk about FU to Christmas and the holiday. Here's the thing, and this is what's interesting. When you create the freedom to display any and all, Judaism putting up a menorah isn't going to negate. I mean, okay, maybe in their teachings they kind of disagree with each other at its core, but putting up a menorah doesn't negate Santa Claus or Christmas.
Yeah, or I don't see a Buddha, and then next thing you know, well, maybe Jesus doesn't exist.
And so what's unique about this one is it's the antithesis. It is literally the antithesis to the holiday. So you either at the same time, though, I can't help but my first reaction to this, and I'm going to pass it to the floor. When you are approached with something like this, it's all or nothing. If you want to be able to sell, and here's the thing. We just agreed. You talked about your ass quite a bit like a chimpanzee. That being said, it's because of the snow. The snow sucks. So, if this is the little bit that makes a not so fun season enjoyable, let's also agree you get the most out of strangers during this period. Maybe it is because, we're all, kind of bunkering through the shitty times together, but also the cheer encourages you to be a better person. Don't be naughty, be nice. So there's something to be said about you wanting to encourage this through a society. Somebody from the Satanic Temple is going to go, we aren't anarchy, we're Satanism. So we're not saying go burn the society down, just our religion's different. And it's a religion nonetheless. And we just preach be your own God and do what you feel best. That's how they kind of play the twist of the words. That being said, I want to die on the hill of my position as of now, as we pitch it off, is all or nothing, because if you don't like one, then you can't do any.
No, I absolutely agree with that. I think we have to, yeah. And part of this too, when we get to some of the satanic stuff, a lot of it is just to antagonize those who are just a little weaker minded, that just, I got to tear it down. It's a little bit like conservative brain rot that goes around that must just, it's like sometimes what we see with pedophilia, where everyone who's progressive starts becoming like in children a little bit too much, or we see satanic, iconography. That's when we start going, well, it's definitely they're up to bad news. And definitely when you start seeing posts online of the Church of Satanism, really a lot of it is just to antagonize Christians, because they're playing into it. They play into it way too much. And also when we get into this, if we really start drilling down deep on Satanism and the origins of it, the goat, yes, has some symbolic references back in kind of medieval times. But if you read scripture, really the snake's about one of the only ones. And really, if you go, Satan himself was really quite tame, more of just eat the apple, be tempted, have your own, kind of really preach a little bit of just individuality and falling into temptation versus only following the Lord and Savior, or it wouldn't be Jesus Christ, it'd be God in this particular scenario. Don't follow him. And we start evolving this kind of, it seems to me it's like a boogeyman, and one that some people really think, all right, I'm gonna get these conservative guys just get all riled up. This is one of those scenarios I see here. They see, a lot of it is just, I want to antagonize. Oh, they got all their Christian stuff. They have their nativity scenes. Here, I'm going to put my goat with some hand gestures, and that's just going to bother everybody. Some people just want to see the world burn, and a lot of that like to call themselves Satanists.
So that being said, those that like to watch the world burn, do they have the freedom to do it? So the question begs, all or nothing. Like you can't pick and choose.
Nope,
Like
you
you
cannot.
can't do that. We have some of the people in the audience. We have a bourbon night, and there was a gentleman that was like steadfast on like we are a Judeo-Christian nation, and we need to get back to that. It's like no. Like a lot of morals that that religion preaches. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't be a good person, everything else. But like, no. We can't ascribe to a singular religion or any or just a few because like Rastafarian is like its own take. It's not Christianity. It's like its own spirituality, but it's like a recognized type of spiritual religion that the only added element is that they go smoke marijuana to then take on their ceremonies. So like what's the difference there between the spiritual religion that it mimics in the Caribbean? Nothing besides like they incorporate another thing. Some people can make the argument that changes everything, but also at the same time, if you get in the nuance of like, no, you can, even though you're preaching the same God and everything, but you grab a joint or you don't grab the joint, like who draws that line? It's a weird, so you all or nothing. We've created a world where we said all religions, you have the freedom to believe and practice any of them. I do want to make back to a Milo comment that I think I may have mentioned before, but like one of the greatest things he ever said that resonated with me was this was after he was canceled. Honestly, this is a recent Milo.
All right.
And he said the founding fathers, when they created the freedom to religion, and you have the freedom to practice and consider any and all religions, what they did expect was a society of people where they would pick a religion. The thing they never thought or anticipated was, like John Locke said, God is dead.
Yep.
They never expected a godless society. So part of the infection, hate to say it, but I'm going to be real since it's the theme of the holiday, like the infection are the people that think they know better than existence and like have this holier than thou, pretentious position of like, there is no God. We are nothing. We're just a speck. And it's like, you don't know that. Just as much as I don't know there's a God, but what you will recognize are the people that are confident in their feelings have some sort of relationship with, maybe it's just a fiction of their imagination or not, but all of them end up in a better place. Find a guy that was in not prison or you're not jail, but prison, like a real prison.
Yep.
Like the people that come back from that, they find God, whatever that religion is. And so the scary part is a godless society, and Satan isn't tame, man. The greatest trick Satan ever pulled on us was convincing us he wasn't real. So like, I hear you, and I can't sit there and say, no, you can't put up your Baphomet because I want to put up my Christmas tree. The scary part is then we lose the Christmas tree because we're trying to keep out like these evil spirits in juju. I don't know. Do you guys have a thought? I wanted to.
Of course I do.
I know. That's
All right.
I think this story is the perfect example of the right to freedom of speech and the right to free will that we could have right this very moment. Freedom of speech is not defending something that you agree with. Freedom of speech is defending at the top of your lungs something that you find horrifying.
Sure.
And still think that it deserves to be said, right? At the same time, that gentleman expressed his free will to go and cut off the head of the Satan thing. Dog, is it a dog? Whatever, dragon,
goat,
the goat,
whatever. Yeah. And he gets to pay the fine. And then the free will comes from people like me and Matt Walsh and other people that are going to give that man money to help pay his fine. Where I get concerned,
okay,
because the United States is not here yet. Canada is here, where Canada might have prevented people from paying to the GoFundMe page or whatever it was, because they did that with their trucker strike. Remember the Canadian trucker strike?
Right.
And then Trudeau said we're going to shut down those financial accounts that those people had. That's the real evil.
Yeah. Oh
right?
yeah. And
Because you're right. I mean, this whole goat thing is they're just goofing on Christians to try to, get them riled up. That's all it
like
is.
real legitimate cultists are not a little more secretive than throwing it out the Capitol building in Iowa. They typically don't like to be found because they're probably doing things that are wildly illegal or just
Sure.
very secretive within their
Yeah.
own kind of.
And if Iowa follows what most state capitals follow, the General Assembly and the governor have no input over what gets put up in that building, because that building is owned by certain people who are paid to do those things. And so it's not like any of those people had the right to do it or had the ability to say, don't put up your goat.
Yeah, especially if it's a taxpayer thing. I think we all agree it's all or nothing.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, have
Well,
no
it's not-
religion.
Yeah,
No,
well, this wasn't even a tax.
So do you go all? Because I would say yes, because I
well,
definitely don't want nothing.
I think we have maybe we ought to figure this out. Was this a taxpayer thing? I would presume it was not.
well, if it was
that
at
it
the
was a-
Capitol, it's a
that it was-
taxpayer building.
Well, that it's a taxpayer building, but it's an organization that paid the money to put the thing in, just as an organization pays the money to put a nativity in and a menorah in. It's not the government paying the money to put the things into the building.
So
They're
it's
just-
equal access.
They're providing.
If you want to
equal
get the
access.
permit to do it, put it
Yeah.
in. You should be allowed without any restrictions outside of.
Yeah, as long as there's no
It's like-
naked people running around. and-
Yeah,
right.
No,
Right,
no
obscenity
No, as long
laws.
as no one's
Yeah.
breaking the law and the
Yeah.
obscenity things. So, they're just trying to get people mad, and that's all it is. But-
You're right. But at the same time, I want to believe that maybe they're not. Like that Satanism is a real religion, and there are real people out.
It's got
Taylor
its own
Swift being
website.
one of them. There are real people out here
I-
practicing
Is
this.
she a Satanist or is she just a witch?
She is the queen witch of the Satanist cult.
Of the
Come
Satanist
on.
So
Okay.
I
Temple of
probably
Satan.
I probably could with a half-hour notice make a stronger argument that leftism is far more evil than Satanism.
I think, given even less than that, we could make a solid argument. But even that being said,
Well, I don't think leftism's not a religion. At least yet. At least yet. It's not protected under
You
law
can't
as a
open
religion.
Pandora's box.
Environmentalism is a religion.
Where's
Darwinism is a religion.
Transgenderism
where's the
is
Church
a
of
religion.
Darwinism? Where's the Church
Feminism.
of is there congregating every
Yeah,
now and
it's
then?
called, they're
It's
called
in your
universities. It's called universities.
So they're teaching
Yeah,
people.
well,
Man,
yeah,
we
well,
are
they
coming
wouldn't- I
from the
wouldn't
same
call
planet.
that-
Darwin's the high priest. The teachers are the are the
Hey,
bishops.
can
and-
you do me
and
a favor?
Abortion is the sacrament.
Can we double back to what are some of the things you hate about lessons given to your teacher? What were you saying before the show?
Well, a future topic would be lies my teacher told me.
What's one?
The obvious one is a certain teacher in a school system that we're familiar with is the reason communism and socialism haven't worked yet is because they haven't been implemented correctly.
Yeah, that's the
It's a big lie.
Oh, big lie.
yeah.
McCarthyism would be
That's a
another
good
one.
one. That's a good topic.
Big
That's
fat
a good-
lie. The big switch between the Democrat and the Republican Party.
yeah.
Big lie.
The other biggest lie is that little Timmy was born in the wrong body.
And then he
Big
drowned in a
school
well.
lie. And then he drowned in a well.
Drowned in the well.
So I guess we could bring it to wrapping thoughts. You know, where I'm at is all or nothing, and I'd rather live in a world where you allow it, because here's how it works. When it comes to libertarianism and majority pick, like the people rule, if one guy is praying to the goat with candles and the rest of us praise Christ, like even the couple people with the dreidel, throw your dreidel out there. But like if the majority of the people are one way, then it's naturally going to be. And guess what? If you end up living in a society that grows to become predominantly Satanist, either move or do a better job of kind of guiding the morality of, like, if you think you're right and there's something, maybe you're wrong. Maybe the Pope is also a lizard and you've been praying to the wrong guy the whole time. So that being said, maybe they're onto something.
Well, he might be.
And the only way to stuff out ignorance is through experience, dialogue, discourse. You can't silence people. Maybe morally just try to defeat them in a free marketplace of ideas. So I say let it happen. And maybe more of us just put up more Christmas ornaments and you divert your attention. So, yeah, I like an ending, and then I'm going to flip it to Don. But I also like Don's point where that's if all the people think it's BS that this guy in the eyes of the law committed a crime, but in their hearts they believe they didn't, then the people band together to bail him out of it. So, like, you'll have the people, if you have the people support, then rightness is going to rise to the top. So why try to fight it or manufacture a result?
Yeah.
Well, the guy definitely committed a crime because he vandalized something that was in his state capital. I will defend his right to vandalize that because the Summer of Love, they were vandalizing everything. But
I was about to say, so let's just all step up and save the people with Starbucks stools that they broke windows with.
Yeah. So, but one final point. Just as I'm willing to say all or nothing and letting the goat dog thing in the state capitol, the football coach at the public school has the right at the end of the football game to pray with his team in the center.
He did get in trouble for that.
He got in trouble. He got fired. He got
rehired.
And well, he's going to make some money off of it because it is not to tell him he can't do it is the violation of the First Amendment.
Boom.
Yeah. I think where this ends, where you're allowed to represent it yourself. I think you can't force others to comply with it.
Ever.
And I think there's
never force anybody.
I think with that football coach story, some of it was kind of backdoor. You better really do this. We all do this. We're the same team on this front, where maybe not everybody was aligned on that same. It was just a bad hill to die on.
Go to an NFL football game, man. They do it at the end of every NFL football
game. They're not. Well, sorry, Johnny Manziel, you're not getting playing time because you didn't kneel for for our prayer. I think that's where that should at least end. If everyone participate, sure. But if you,
I don't know if someone didn't get, a coach wants to win. I don't know if somebody didn't get playing time, but.
Here, Doug, what's up?
Perhaps they did.
Well, we're talking about like prayer and football. I mean, we said a prayer before every high school football game, and I don't remember anyone having any complaint at the time.
Abdu just
no
sat
one
there.
felt forced to. But it was more of just getting together as a team and hoping we all do well and stay healthy. It didn't have to necessarily be a prayer, but that's what we did, and no one had an issue with it. Like you said, I'm like the Muslim kid on our team sat there and sat with us and did it. Never once complained.
Right.
Different time, I guess.
Well, and that's it too. That was a time where we could all assimilate and live with each other.
Yep.
I can't help but wrestle with one major thing, and that was growing up. My favorite show was Mind of Mencia. It was my favorite show. I don't know if you've ever watched it. Go back and watch it. Every other segment was making fun of every other race.
Yep.
There wasn't an episode. First off, the guy got in trouble because he is Hispanic, but not Mexican. He's Vietnamese, actually. Something like that. And he pretends to be a Mexican. His name isn't Carlos. The whole internet turned on him. And it's a totally different lens to look at him. But at that time, he was Carlos Mencia. I'm a white kid listening to this Mexican guy who predominantly made fun of white people, but then also made fun of everybody. One of the lines that forever lives in my head was when he was dressed as Barney and he's saying, "If you think you might be gay, then you're gay. If you think you might be gay, then you're gay." And it's a whole song. But it was funny. It was jokes. Everything was jokes. And what's crazy is to now live in this world where everything's offensive. If we were to live, Doug, I love you bringing up that football game experience. Because if we were to live, Brian was there too. If we were to live that exact experience again, he would have a claim to be a victim. Whereas at a totally different time in life, Just pick a different spot on the timeline just before everybody got their panties in a wad. That same guy was able to not partake, but be there and grow a bond with strangers. I mean, the dude was from Turkey, who, by the way, they dominated the Greeks. So, like, we're oil and water, and we were pals. So, that being said, welcome to the melting pot. What was beautiful, they've been able to totally dismantle and, like, reinstill through the the social monetary trade of social victimhood. We've reinstilled racism, misogyny, sexism. We've reinstilled all these things that were behind us and defeated now exist greater than ever, right in the forefront. I don't know. What's up, Donnie?
Have we or have the leftists done it?
Sure. And perspective is reality. And I would say that the talking boxes, the black mirrors, control our reality currently. If for those that unplug, reality is whatever's around you. You got pals or you got, an abusive father, whatever's around you is your reality. So here's the issue. This is the human hive. First introduced to the human existence in thousands and thousands of years. There's going to be symptoms, trials, and tribulations. At the same time, it's an incredible tool for most people that can utilize it. Somebody's watching this, 1 or 2 or 14 people every week. Cheers to you. Yeah. That being said, that's utilizing a technology that I can't go without. Am I crack addicted to TikTok? Yeah, they've hijacked my psychology. At the same time, this is a pretty solid tool. So you can't go without it. So now it's coming to a place where living with it. The scary part is, as Don alludes to, they control it. And the talking box, they control the perspective in that reality. But for most of us, that's ever increasingly becoming our total reality. So we need to come up with ways of counterbalancing that. David, I'll flip it to you. I'd love to hear your ideas on how. You need to counterbalance that, but then also grab control of the narrative. The answer can't just be total unplug, because that tends to always be the case. You got to unplug, but you got to have the balance with the tool that is our future.
Yeah, and do we eventually, as a society, because we're still very, very new with smartphones, the black box, social media, being all-encompassing, do we just get more used to it and stop being played by the tricks? Just like let's go back to Black Friday. It wasn't a very good Black Friday by all accounts. Part of it's because the companies that are doing the Black Friday tricks, everyone's just getting used to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Stop, like I'm not falling for this anymore. Now, part of it's because of the black box, it's always there. Like, well, I can cross shop everything before where it wasn't necessarily the case. But now what you have here with this specific with the specific scenario here, do we just get more used to it? Do we start going like, oh my God, this article is nothing but clickbait? This newscaster is just trying to rile me up, and I'm not falling for it anymore. Do we get to that point? Because I'm starting to think we're getting more and more savvy about how this is done as we educate each other. Like, oh, Jesus.
Here's what's crazy. What's crazy. I think we're there. What scares me though, is there's too many people. I mean, honest to goodness, too many people in this world see it for what it is. They see the wizard behind the curtain. It is not a giant green head on the wall. I see the wizard for what it is. And yet, out of the fear of cancel culture, I mean, honest to goodness, we're getting ready to wrap up our payroll for the year, right? And it's like, these are not livable wages for basic people who are working all day. When I make a joke in a ChatGPT thing about how like Trumps can't even afford eggs, like that's a real thing. So a scary reality to where we're at is there are people who are getting totally railed, but need to stay functioning members of society. They need to feed themselves and keep a roof. Do you want to go without a roof right now? There is a sheet of snow. So we are stuck in a hamster wheel. That being said, they're able to manipulate us through that. So I don't know, not to get totally lost on a tangent. The piece that you triggered me with is when you're talking about, I don't know, maybe we bring it back to all or nothing, right? Because whoa,
See,
no, it's
nothing.
interesting.
And now we got to go back to all.
Yeah, all. Yeah, we literally spoke that into existence. I don't know.
I leaned back, the lights went out.
Exactly. So wrapping it up, what I want to get at is people are trapped in this moment of disparity, and they need to work, but living isn't as easy as it used to be. And yes, I think we get used to the tricks, but at the same time, the people that are aware of the tricks are like deadly afraid to acknowledge them, to point them out, because and that's the only reason the leftists, as we call them, as this one political party has any backing, because you are so deadly afraid not to be caught wearing that jersey. Like, so if you're seeing a ruse of nonsense, but being the person to call it out bastardizes you to society and you're shunned, you're forced to make a decision. And so I think idiocracy exists and it's seen, but it continues to breed because people are afraid to speak out against it. Don't shit yourself. This show is going to ever increasingly have a difficult time because there is that lens we talk about, the talking boxes, the black mirrors. They are invested in making sure that people don't wake up to this and feel motivated and equipped to have that voice.
Yeah. I do want to disagree because I think we are going to get more and more just desensitized, or we just start paying attention to other things that isn't just outrage, or it's a different type of outrage. Here, it's outrage for various different religious groups, or outrage for colored skin, way sexual preference, and now the next phase of outrage. Corporate America, consolidation, tax policy, wars. I think that's starting to become the new. We're not quite there yet. I still think we're very much wrapped into our own belief system, and some of this is performative too. It's performative. I'm going to put up the satanic goat to irritate the Christians, and the one Christian comes out, the Michael Cassidy comes out and says, well, I'm going to be performative and just tear this off and show my true colors. We're doing a bunch of this, this revolving door of performative arts here, and eventually we're just going to style. Okay, well, this isn't creating the outrage I want for the type of people that I want, that I'm audiencing this to. Now I'm going to move on to the next thing. And I think we're going to see that on a few different levels, and it's not always just going to be on this thing in particular.
I think we'll have to adapt or die.
Yeah,
I've just stopped trusting things, right? Trusting people, trusting news, trusting.
And I think that's the evolution of us using social
Fair
media.
point.
I stopped
that's
trusting. So I'm like, well,
that's the manifestation of literally your point.
There was just this little snippet of this a black gay Republican at a MAGA rally who was getting not shouted down, but that saying apparently white supremacists were saying things to him as if he didn't belong at the MAGA rally. And I watched this over and over again, and all I think is that I guarantee you, in my mind anyway, that some Democrat paid those people to say those things to that gay black man
At a rally. Sure.
it's possible.
I mean,
right, but here's a scary thought.
So unlikely, because
But even
how
if
did they know he was going to be there? And
but likely or not,
it's like, I don't believe it.
What's interesting is that's a symptom of where our world's at. We have total distrust for everything.
Look at it with just complete distrust.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So, Brian, wrap up the topic here for us.
I got 4 things to say, because
Right.
these are all just kind of like little ADD
been quiet.
things that just kind of. So like, all right, I want to start out with something kind of out there. In thermo, we learned about how things heat up and cool down, and it's some philosophy that kind of blew my mind was, I'm going to really summarize it and botch it, but things don't actually heat up, they lose coldness. Okay. going off of that, it's not called bitter cold because the cold is bitter. It's because you are bitter that it's cold.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. So going off of that point, and then ADDing, Forrest Gump had a very snippet of a moment where he was holding up a peace sign saying bye to Jenny after he gave her medallion. And if you look at the peace sign, he's actually not holding a peace sign. He's holding a up piece and a down piece.
Hey,
Which
you'll find that
is-
stuff everywhere.
Yeah, you'll find that in Satanism. The goat is
And
standing
the
there.
Iowa Capitol.
Yep. Oh,
Dude, there are demons in this bitch. I am
Satanism
telling
is-
you.
You're talking about too
all of
much.
us. All right.
My son is an electrician. I can send him over.
Yeah, please.
On to point number 3. You were talking about all religions, and that's called omniscience. It's just the inclusion of all the religions. And 4th point, shout out to the heroes in Portland.
All right, heroes in Portland. Thanks for watching this clip from the Rethink Tank Live. Join us every Tuesday at 7 p.m. streaming across the platforms on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok. We do our best to promote user engagement, and we want you involved. So be sure to bring your perspective live so we can get you in the dialogue. See you then.